I never imagined my undercover mission would lead to an unbelievable betrayal. I will never forget the day everything fell apart. The room was filled with a pungent smell of sweat and fear. My heart raced in my chest, pounding like a war drum. I was in too deep, tangled in webs I couldn't see. Shadows danced across the walls, and I could feel their cold fingers closing in on me. As I stood there, trembling, the air thick with silence, I could almost hear my own heartbeat echoing in my ears. Each tick of the clock felt like a countdown to my demise. I was on the brink of danger, surrounded by people I thought I could trust. All my training, all my plans, they were slipping away, like sand through my fingers. Jack, my partner, was sitting across from me, his eyes shrouded with a darkness I had never seen before. There had always been a strange camaraderie between us, a bond forged in the fires of chaos, but now it felt frayed. An electric tension charged the air, and I could see it, the flicker of doubt in his gaze. Was he truly on my side? I remembered the first day we met, a chance encounter in a crowded cafe. We had shared a laugh, a secret, and for a moment, the weight of the world had lifted. But now, everything felt off. My skin prickled as I recalled the strange things he had said lately, the half-smiles he wore. I felt the knot in my stomach tighten. Then, out of nowhere, the loud crash of a door swung open, startling me to my core. The dim light spilled into the room, illuminating a figure I had never expected to see. It was Claire, my sister, the one person I had fought to protect. Dread crashed over me like a wave. She shouldn't be here. This was a dangerous game. Get away from him, she shouted, eyes wide with fear and anger. In that moment, everything shifted. The trust one had built shattered like glass. My mind raced. What was she doing here? I had sworn to keep her safe, away from this world of shadows, and betrayal. Claire's presence brought forth a torrent of emotions. I longed to reach out, to comfort her, but I couldn't. Not when I could taste the betrayal in the air. Jack's expression morphed into something unreadable, and I saw the corners of his mouth twitch in a sardonic smile. What game was he playing? There was panic in Claire's eyes. I could feel her fear wrapping around me, smothering the last remaining hope I had. My gut churned. Had I put her in danger? I needed answers. My mind screamed at me to act, to protect her, yet my body felt frozen in place. Suddenly, I realized something pivotal could shift all of this. I had to choose between my sister's safety and my mission. The stakes had never felt higher, and the air pulsed with intensity. Would I sacrifice it all to save her, or would I lose everything in this treacherous web of secrets? I looked between them, the silence screaming louder than any words. A choice loomed, dark and heavy. A betrayal awaited me, hidden in plain sight. I felt a pit in my stomach grow, churning with dread. What would happen next? Would answers bring relief, or would they cut deeper than the knife twisting in my heart? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. I felt the weight of Claire's gaze, a mirror reflecting my own turmoil. There was no time left to unravel the strands of trust that had been so meticulously woven between Jack and me. In that electrified moment, I knew I had to act swiftly. "Claire," I said, my voice strained, "please just listen." Her eyes flared with defiance, the steel of her resolve crashing against my own fear. "You don't get it, do you? You have to get away from him. He's not who you think he is." Her words struck me like bullets, each one finding its mark as I staggered back, feeling the very ground beneath me shift. Jack's expression tightened. "You don't know what you're talking about, Claire," he said, his voice calm but laced with something sinister that sent a chill skimming over my skin. "This is all bigger than you realize." The atmosphere felt heavy with questions, and as I looked at Jack, frustration clawed at my insides. Once, he had been my ally, my confidant. Now, he stood before me as a stranger draped in shadows, and all I could feel was uncertainty. "You think she's safe here?" he continued, taking a step toward Claire, who flinched away from his presence. "You don't know what happens to people who get caught in this game." My heart sank. The hurt of betrayal gnawed at me, cutting deeper than any knife imaginable. "What game, Jack?" I pressed, desperately hoping for clarity among the chaos that surrounded us. "She's right, you know. They'll come for her. The moment they realize she's connected to you, you're both as good as dead." There was a sincerity in his tone that set bells ringing in my head, a flicker of truth that was nauseating. But could I really trust him? I turned my attention back to Claire, whose face was pale but resolute. "Please, you need to leave," she urged, her voice a mere whisper, dripping with fear for my safety. "I can't lose you too. They're dangerous, and I can't afford to see you hurt." And there it was, the raw truth that shattered every delusion I had built around this mission. I had always aimed to protect her, to shield her from this life that clawed at my very essence. "I can't just abandon you," I insisted, my voice trembling, the weight of my conviction fighting against the desperate pulse of self-preservation. "He'll find a way out, and we'll both be safe." In that moment of desperation, a small flicker of hope ignited between us. There was something undeniable in the bond we shared. It prodded at the edges of my resolve. "What if we work together? We can uncover what's really going on here. We can fight." Claire's brow furrowed, an ocean of doubt swirling in her darkened gaze. "What if that just leads them right to us? What if your desire to protect me ends up becoming my downfall?" The clock ticked menacingly, a reminder that each second brought danger nearer. Worry twinged in my heart, a cruel reminder that in this twisted game of shadows, everything was uncertain. "You don't understand, Claire. This isn't just about us anymore. It's about stopping this once and for all," I declared, hoping my conviction would quell her fears. But she shook her head, tears beginning to pool in her eyes. "You're not thinking straight. There's one more thing you don't know." "What do you mean?" My breath caught, a morbid curiosity intertwined with dread. And just as she opened her mouth to speak, I heard the unmistakable sounds of footsteps echoing down the hallway, heavy and deliberate. "Claire, we need to go!" Panic surged within me, my instincts kicking into high gear as I glanced toward the door, calculating our escape route. Jack stepped closer to Claire, enveloping her in a deceptively comforting presence that juxtaposed the tension in the room. "Trust me, you don't want to be here when they arrive," he urged, anger simmering just beneath his stoic facade. Claire looked between the two of us, the choice weighing heavily on her shoulders, as the footsteps grew louder, relentless, like a thunderstorm approaching. "I just wanted to protect you," she breathed, desperation weaving through her words. Before I could respond, the door burst open, and my heart dropped. A shadow filled the doorway, suffocating the light. In that instant, all paths seemed to close in, and time stood still. My world narrowed to that singular moment, and an intense gaze settled upon us, filled with malice. "Time's up," hissed a voice, and my heart sank further into the depths of despair. A chilling sense of inevitability crashed down around us. We had been found. I felt Claire's hand clasp mine, a small act of solidarity in a moment of impending chaos. My fears morphed into a primal urge to protect her, but as the figure edged closer, I feared it would be far too late for any of us. The room was choked with tension, the suffocating air rippling with fear and uncertainty. The figure at the door looked like a specter from the shadows, their intentions unreadable, but their menace unmistakable. I could feel Claire's pulse racing next to mine, a rapid reflection of the dread in my heart. "Back away from her," I demanded, attempting to infuse my voice with authority despite the tremors that clawed at my insides. My mind raced, but each scenario that unfolded in my thoughts ended in catastrophe. Jack stood poised, a silent giant caught between us and the encroaching darkness that had burst through our fragile sanctuary. "Wouldn't you rather fix this than fight it?" The shadowy figure purred, their voice dripping with mockery. With each step they took, my resolve wavered under the weight of dread, but I couldn't let fear rule the moment. I remained rooted, determined to stand firm against whatever darkness had come to claim us. "Just let us go," I replied, my heart pounding a frantic rhythm. "You don't have to do this." With a sardonic chuckle, the figure tilted their head, eyes calculating, as they flipped a hand in my direction. "Oh, but I do. You've stumbled into something that goes far beyond your understanding. And trust me, Claire isn't the one in danger here. It's you." Those words hung in the air, seemingly suspended in a web of tension that ensnared Claire and me alike. There was an unsettling truth in their tone that seeped into my bones, igniting fears I had barely registered. I turned to her, searching her eyes for answers, but all I found was confusion and unyielding fear. "Claire," I started, but the figure interjected. "And oh, more time for sweet nothings, darling," they hissed, growing restless. "You'll need to make a choice very soon. This isn't just about survival. It's going to test everything you thought you knew about loyalty and sacrifice." Jack moved slightly, his demeanor shifting from protective to strategic, as if weighing his options. "What do you want from us?" he demanded, a sense of urgency seeping into his tone. "Want? Oh, I don't want anything. It is you who are yearning for truth, isn't it?" The figure smirked, the shadows swallowing the features of their face. "Follow me, and I'll show you exactly what you're all a part of with no safety net. Why would you let us see the truth?" Claire shot back, suddenly galvanized by an unexpected surge of defiance. "You think we'd trust you?" The figure's laughter echoed eerily, a melody of chaos wrapping around all of us. "Trust, child? You'll need to learn that lesson the hard way. But perhaps a demonstration is in order. It might even bolster your will to survive." In the eerie silence that followed, an idea surged inside me. "We will never trust you," I stated, clenching Claire's hand possessively. I had to believe there was strength and connection between us, against whatever this monstrous entity planned. "Well, fight to uncover whatever game you're playing. No more running." But the figure tilted their head, amusement dancing in darkened eyes. "Ah, the brave yet foolish hero arises. Know this, the stakes are higher than you realize. But fight all you want. It only adds to the deliciousness of the game." The atmosphere shifted as my heart turned cold with fear and fury, and in the whirlwind of my emotions, I caught a glimpse of Claire's expression, a blend of hope and despair. Her spirit was still unbroken, and it fueled a part of me that refused to yield. Yet just as the figure began to step back into the shadows, a distant echo of footsteps lingered at the end of the hallway, a second wave of threats closing in, an undeniable reality of our fragile situation. My pulse quickened as I felt the room constricting, claustrophobia curling around my chest. "Quickly," Jack urged, panic threading through his words. "We must make a choice now. I won't abandon you, Claire," I declared, looking deep into her eyes, searching for reassurance that she would stand by me no matter the cost. Would we choose to uncover this twisted truth together, or was retreat our only salvation? Before either of us could respond, blaring alarms pierced the silence, reverberating through the walls like striking thunder. The figure glared at us, their patience dissipating like smoke. "You're running out of time. The choice is yours: survive the chaos or be consumed by it," they hissed before disappearing into the darkened hall, leaving us teetering on the edge of an impending storm. "Stay close," I murmured to Claire, resolving to protect her no matter the choice we made. I steeled myself, readying for what lay ahead. Just as I turned us toward the exit, a hand shot out from the shadows, gripping my arm tightly, swinging me back into the unknown. "What's happening?" Claire gasped beside me, eyes wide as a new figure emerged, this one clad in a familiar face but holding a different shade of malice. "It's time for you to see," the newcomer said with chilling clarity, as I felt a dagger of betrayal plunge deeper, worse than before. It was someone I'd never imagined entering this twisted web of deceit, a friend, a confidant, now wrapped in the shadows of this unimaginable conspiracy. My heart plummeted with the weight of the impending revelation, and the realization hit me like a tidal wave. I might have just stepped into a trap far more complex than I could ever anticipate. The world around me shrank, tightening in response to the resolve I felt from the figure with familiar eyes, now illuminated by the buzzing overhead lights. It was Nathan, my friend from college, who had always been the rock amid life's chaos. But there was nothing reassuring about the cold determination etched across his features. "What have you done?" I managed to mutter, fury and confusion blending sharply in my throat. He smirked, but there was an edge of pain in his gaze that did not escape me. "I never intended for you to find out like this. The options were laid out long before you stumbled into this mess. But it appears loyalty can be blinding." Claire stepped closer to me, her presence a fragile reassurance against the raw betrayal looming before us. "Nathan, why? We were friends. You're supposed to be on our side." Her voice trembled, each syllable a desperate plea for understanding. With a short, humorless laugh, Nathan shook his head slowly. "On which side do you think I belonged? This isn't just a game at survival. You just didn't see the bigger picture." Fury flared in my chest as memories of our past together shifted from warmth to ice. Nathan was the one who held my hand during the dark days, who celebrated my victories, who laughed with me until dawn. "You're siding with whoever those shadows are?" I asked, incredulous. "You can't honestly believe you're doing this for a good reason." "I don't need you to understand," Nathan snapped, his tone sharp like glass cutting through fog. "In doing what I must to protect those I care about, including you. This isn't about right or wrong. It's about being alive when the choices run dry." "What about Claire?" I blurted out, rage flooding my senses. "What have you done to her?" "Nothing. Yet." His voice was low, almost hushed, but the weight of his words sent a chill down my spine. "But it's time for her to see the reality of this path. You both need to grasp how deep this has dug its roots. I'm here to guide you to pull the veil away." "You'll thank me later." "Thank you?" Claire echoed incredulously, her eyes reflecting the disbelief that mirrored my own. "You're treating us like pawns in some twisted game, Nathan. We have a right to choose our fate." As the shadows seemed to deepen around him, Nathan's face bore an expression I rarely saw, regret mixed with determination. "You think you have a choice. But you'll see that these choices come at a price. Follow me, and it'll show you everything. No. I shouted, pulling Claire closer, the protective instinct overwhelming. "We won't let you drag us into this nightmare. We will find our way through it, and I will fight for Claire." "The noise is getting louder," Nathan said, glancing at the darkened corners where the sinister figure had vanished moments before. "And soon, you won't have that choice anymore." With every syllable he uttered, my heart raced with the horrible realization that his presence was more than a betrayal, it was a warning. As the blaring alarms pierced the air once more, I could feel the crumbling edges of our safety. Panic bubbled in my throat as I realized time was slipping like sand through my fingers. "Claire, we need to move. Now!" I commanded, adrenaline pushing me away from Nathan. I urged her towards the corridor I had glimpsed earlier, but every instinct clawed at me to stay. Nathan's eyes remained fixed on us, a mixture of longing and desperation blurring the lines of his allegiance. "You can't escape this, and you can't protect her forever," Nathan called out, his voice rising above the din. In time, you'll learn that embracing the darkness is your only option. With my heart hammering wildly and Claire's fingers entwined tightly with mine, we darted through the corridor, the world outside crashing with sound as chaos descended like an unyielding storm. But the onslaught of questions twisted in my mind like poison vines. How could my friend have shifted so seamlessly into the role of a tormentor? Jack took the smart choice. "We need to move," I muttered fiercely to Claire, who nodded, yet her gaze lingered behind us as we tore ourselves away from Nathan's ominous clutches. Yet it wasn't clarity I found in the break for freedom. It was uncertainty draped in veils of anguish. I swallowed the fear rising within me, refusing to lose sight of the fierce determination in Claire's expression, even as we hurtled deeper into the unknown. But the alarms continued their relentless wail, threading through our hurried strides an echoing drumroll of doom. Just as we reached the exit, a door that led to uncertain salvation of blinding light erupted from behind us, casting everything into sharp relief. I turned swiftly, Claire half a step behind me, and my heart stammered at the sight awaiting us. The figure appeared once more, reshaping the shadows, but along with them, more forms emerged, familiar faces twisted in expressions of surprise and fear, those we thought safe, now drawn into this terrifying web. I could hardly breathe as I took in the shocking scene. Our world felt like it was collapsing anew, and the painful grip of betrayal tightened around me. Claire gasped beside me, the spark of hope dimming in her gaze. This wasn't isolation anymore. It was an awakening. "Welcome, my dear friends," the figure intoned with mock delight as the shadows deepened, obscuring the growing chaos. "It seems our little game is about to get much more interesting." And in that moment, as the collective weight of betrayal and impending danger loomed over us like a dark cloud, I understood that we had unwittingly waded into a confrontation far beyond anything I could have prepared for. The stakes had ascended dramatically, and it felt as if the ground beneath us had fractured completely, unleashing a cascade of fear and uncertainty. We were standing on the precipice of a new realistic reality that held answers to every question, but entwined with the threads of our fates. Prepare yourselves. The truth will set you free, but first, it will consume you whole, the figure warned, and as that chilling proclamation echoed in my ears, I realized we were left with a choice: face our burgeoning fears or succumb to the darkness enveloping us. As the shadows surged forward, a cacophony of muffled cries and fleeting breaths filled the air, pulling into an atmosphere thick with tension. Claire's fingers tightened around mine, anchoring us against the whirlpool of confusion and despair. The faces materializing around us stretched from familiar to foreign, their expressions a tapestry woven with dread and disbelief. "Don't let them take you." Nathan's voice cut through the atmosphere, raw and unfiltered, mingling with the figure's taunts. The very sound of his name sent a shiver down my spine, a reminder of the friend I once cherished and the adversary he had become. "Jack, we need to go now." Claire tugged on my arm, her voice shaking with urgency as the crowd pressed closer, muttering incomprehensible words that gnawed at the edges of panic swirling inside me. I heard bits of fearful conjectures and shared sentiments that saw the oncoming storm brewing long before our arrival. The shadows danced, and in that elusive light, I caught glimpses of twisted allegiances caught in a web far wider than I had imagined. "I can't just leave him," I whispered hesitantly, my heart still clinging to the boy who had been there for me, the one who had masked his tormented depths beneath laughter and late-night conversations. The fractures in our friendship spread tentatively, as the reality of his betrayal solidified. "He's our friend." "Friend?" Claire shot back in disbelief, her expression shifting swiftly from urgency to outrage. "That's the thing you're still failing to understand. We can't afford to blink in the face of this chaos. We have to choose ourselves first, Jack." As the figures closed in, it ignited something within me, a burning urgency to confront whatever twisted truth Nathan had dragged into our lives. I broke free from Claire's grip, the resolve in my chest simmering into rage. "Nathan!" I yelled into the horde of shadows, unwilling to let fear dictate our fates any longer. "What are you doing? This isn't who you are." He stood there, his body half shrouded in darkness, a remnant of the confidant I once knew flickering on the edges. "You think you understand loyalty? I've known what it means to fight for survival, and you're short-sighted in your rebellion," he replied, sorrow lacing through his words, yet bitterness lurked beneath. "You'll never see the true depth of this if you cling to your childish notions of friendship. Then show us." My shout reverberated among the faces watching, and for a heartbeat, silence fell like a fragile shroud. "Face us, and tell us the truth behind why you made these choices." A flicker of uncertainty crossed Nathan's face, and in that fleeting moment, I sensed a weakness vulnerability hidden beneath the mask of the architect of betrayal. The monster he had become was beginning to sway, but before I could press further, the mocking laughter erupted from the figure encircling us, a grotesque celebration of the turmoil we embodied. "Very well," the figure called out gleefully, drawing attention away from Nathan. "A game won by friends, foes, and the whispers of the shadows. How poetic! You will choose your fates, and I will present you with choices, some born of light, others nestled in darkness." Claire, shaking, moved back beside me, her voice urgent as she whispered, "We can't trust him. None of this makes sense." My heart raced, caught in a tumultuous storm of emotions swirling around us as I tried to decipher the path that lay before us. "He's right about one thing," Nathan interjected, his voice breaking like glass in midair. "This doesn't make sense. Not to anyone caught in our web. We can't pretend we're not involved in something far more extensive." The figure raised an arm, and in a gesture that felt both ludicrous and monumental, the visions of our reality shifted. With a flick of their wrist, we were surrounded by shifting scenes, manifesting our fears and desires into tangible forms. A glimpse of Claire embraced by laughter echoed amidst shadows of fear, while I stood alone, trapped in a room swirling with echoes of unfathomable loss. "Choose wisely, my dear friends," the figure exclaimed, the twisted glee tearing at the edges of my sanity. "What you see before you is a reflection of what you wish to hold on to, but know this: every choice holds its own peril." I felt Claire's warmth seeping next to me, her whispering supports intertwining with my tightened resolve. "No matter what is unfolding in with you, hurry. The choice won't wait forever," Nathan urged, his previous bravado starting to fade, revealing the shadow of panic lurking beneath. "This is your chance, our Shancito. Confront the darkness that has long lingered on the edges." Before I could respond, an eruption of emotion surged within me, pushing me to act. "Then I choose to see the truth," I shouted, facing the swirling manifestations, refusing to cower before this chaotic display of our fears. In an instant, the ground trembled, the air thrumming with a palpable energy, and both Nathan and Claire flinched beside me. As I stepped towards the vision forming, something deep within me burdening the choices we were about to face, shadows had begun to ripple around me, tugging at the seams of reality itself. And just then, a new voice broke through, clear and echoing in the chaos. "You have no idea what you're about to unleash," it said, slicing through our desperation like a knife, only to be consumed by the cacophony of swirling shadows. Before I could process the impact of the impending choice, I felt something cold grip my heart, a revelation unfurling in the air around me. The faces of those we left behind could never be assumed merely forgotten, nor could the depth of betrayal be easily unmended. The figure laughed, a haunting melody filled with malice. "Oh, but how exquisite! The more you seek the truth, the less you will want to hear, my dear friends." The laughter morphed into an eerie echo as the shadows swirled tighter around us, plunging the moment into a darker abyss, blurring the lines between friendship and judgment, hope and despair. As the chilling realization clawed at me, a bone-deep fear forced me to ask aloud, "What have we truly unleashed here?" And in response, I saw the flicker of dread darkening Claire's gaze, and Nathan's hardened expression now pulsed with something else entirely, fear. The moment crystallized, as the curtain of choices hung precariously, and with the looming threat of the unknown, I understood that whether I was ready or not, we were at the brink of a revelation that could shatter everything we held dear. The shadows shifted around us, dim yet pulsating with an almost sentient energy, filling the air with an electric anticipation. I glanced at Claire and Nathan, their faces a battleground of emotion. Fear interlaced with determination, as if we were all teetering on the edge of understanding something monumental and terrifying. "We can't be swept away in this chaos," I murmured, my breath trembling in the heavy atmosphere. "We have to hold on to each other." "Perhaps that's what the shadows want," Nathan replied, his voice taut with a complexity I had never heard before. "To isolate us, to drive us apart. This isn't merely about choices. It's about what we're willing to sacrifice." A flicker of regret stole across his features, momentarily eclipsing the hardened mask he wore. As I stood surrounded by flickering images that played on the edges of my vision, of Claire, of Nathan, of moments of laughter and betrayal, love and resentment. I could feel the weight of our shared history pressing down. It was impossible to navigate this labyrinth of emotions without stumbling over the truth that had splintered our relationships. "Claire." I turned to her, desperate for her to renew our shared buoyancy. "You can't let him talk us into doubt. We have to trust one another. Not just in this moment, but always." My voice rose, mixing with the hollow laughter that erupted around us, defiant against the taunting echoes. A warmth ignited in her eyes, flickering with a glimmer of hope amidst despair. "I'm here, Jack. I'm fighting for us." She reached out, squeezing my hand, grounding me in the trust we had forged through countless trials. "But we need to keep our eyes open. Whatever is coming, we need to face it together." Suddenly, the figures encircling us multiplied, twisting into dark caricatures of people we once cherished. My heart sank as I recognized faces from our past, friends whose laughter now morphed into menacing whispers, echoing around us, taunting our every move. "You left us," one of them hissed, capturing the essence of betrayal that rippled through our attempt to push forward. "Stop!" I yelled, clenching my fist, battling against the weight of guilt and sorrow, the accusation swirling like a tempest around us. "You're not real. You're just shadows of our fears." I felt Claire's presence beside me, her strength rising to meet mine, pressing forward against the tide of anguish. "Then you'd better wake up to your reality," the figure retorted, its voice dripping with malice. "Every choice you make has weight. Every path you tread leads to consequences you can't begin to fathom." A new round of laughter erupted, chilling us to the core, and I shut my eyes tightly against the onslaught of memories that threatened to drown me. "Listen," Nathan's voice broke through the haze, dragging me back from the brink. "Maybe we can't outrun the past, but we can choose how we react to it. Together." I could see through the veil of shadows. The flicker of understanding burning in his gaze was right. It all depended on what we chose to do next. As the mockery of our friends faded back into the abyss, a singular vision crystallized amidst the engulfing darkness, a glimmer of light illuminating a path through the chaos. "We need to choose a direction," Nathan urged, almost fragile, as if revealing vulnerability for the first time. "Find that spark in the darkness and let it guide us." I turned back to the swirling chaos, my heart pounding. I choose hope," I declared, the words spilling forth as if they had been trapped inside me, waiting for the right moment to escape. "Hope in a future, hope for redemption, hope that we can alter our fate." The shadows quivered violently in response, an almost sentient reaction to my proclamation. The figure looming above us distorted, a cruel smile spreading across its face. "Hope, how naive! But let's see if it serves you well." It began to reshape the reality around us, giving way to a new vision, revealing half-formed shapes of our potential futures. Some were steeped in light, filled with laughter. Others hovered on the precipice of shadows, drenched in Foreboding. What's happening? Claire gasped, her voice trembling as the conflicting energies surged around us like crashing waves. Hold on, I shouted, grasping Claire's hand more tightly, anchoring her amidst the whirlwind. Nathan moved closer, a solid presence at my side. No matter where this takes us, we have to promise to stay together. But before we could absorb this new twist of fate, a sudden rift tore through the fabric of the vision, an agonizing scream piercing the darkness. The air crackled with sudden energy, threatening to engulf everything in its wake. It doesn't like that you chose hope, Nathan shouted, panic rising in his voice. With an unexpected lurch, the ground beneath us trembled violently. I caught a glimpse of a figure swathed in shadows, a familiar silhouette. My breath hitched as recognition dawned. No! It can't be! The shadows morphed, revealing a face I had thought was lost forever. It was someone I never expected to see again, someone I thought the chaos had consumed entirely. The world around me spun as the enormity of the moment crashed over me. Before I could utter a single syllable, the shadows swallowed me whole, a harbinger of decisions yet to unravel the delicate ties of friendship and allegiance. And in a heartbeat, everything changed. The moment I saw the face, time suspended. It was a snapshot of my past thrust into the chaos of my present, as if the universe itself had turned back the clock just to wound me more. The blood drained from my face, and I could barely breathe. Lila? The name escaped my lips as a choked whisper, laden with disbelief and a heartache that had simmered in the depths of my soul since the day I lost her. She stood just beyond my reach, her once bright eyes now shadowed, reflecting the turmoil around us. The shadows coiled around her like a shroud, obscuring the vibrant spirit I once knew. "Jack," she said, the syllables tinged with sorrow. "I thought I'd never see you again. Why are you here? How did you survive?" My mind raced, frantically piecing together shards of memories, and questioning everything I thought I knew. The shadows loomed closer, a visceral reminder of the danger threatening to encase us all. Lila narrowed her gaze, and for an instant, the intensity of our shared past flickered through the darkness. Then she shook her head, her expression twisting into something far more grave. "It's not about how I survived. It's about how we all survived this." "Nathan!" "Claire!" I could barely hear my own voice over the maelstrom of emotions roaring within me. "Do you see her? It's Lila." But when I turned, Nathan's hand slipped from my grasp as he staggered back, almost as if recoiling from the truth of her appearance. I felt the loss like a physical blow. Claire, too, stood transfixed, her face pale as if the specter of Lilith's existence had summoned memories better left buried. "I don't know how to explain this," Lila continued, her voice strained as the shadows twisted at her edges. "But what happened after I've been watching? Waiting. There are forces at play here that even you can't begin to comprehend." I took a step forward, desperation clawing at my heart. "You have to tell us everything. You're back. We can find a way out of this together. We have to." But Lilith's laughter was hollow and edged with a profound sadness. "You think being reunited means safety?" The shadows lurched, feeding off our collective anxiety as they billowed around her. "You have no idea what I sacrificed to keep you safe, Jack." "Sacrifices?" I felt a surge of anger rise within me, fueled by the bitterness of losing that which mattered most. "What about the sacrifices I've made? You disappeared, and I was left to pick up the pieces. I didn't choose to go," she snapped, her voice sharper than I remembered. "I didn't choose any of this. The shadows have a mind of their own. They've twisted everything, Jack. And now they want to twist you too. Twist us." "What does that mean?" Nathan interjected, shaking off his shock. "If you're saying the shadows can manipulate us, we need a plan. We can't let them drive us apart." Lilith's expression softened for a moment, her gaze darting between us, as if weighing our resolve. "You have to trust me. I can lead you to the heart of the shadows." But it won't be easy. What you encounter will test the very core of who you think you are. I stole a glance at Claire and Nathan, gauging their reactions to Lilith's unfathomable return and the implications she brought. There was fear undeniably, but beneath it lay an ember of hope, a flickering possibility that perhaps we could find our way back to the light. "What's in the heart of the shadows?" Claire asked, her voice barely above a whisper, yet laced with courage. "What are we really up against?" "Everything you've ever feared and everything you've ever wanted," Lila said, her eyes clouding with memories I couldn't access. "This isn't just a battle for your lives. It's a conflict for your souls." And oh, I breathed, shaking my head as despair threatened to swallow me. I had imagined Lilith's return would bring answers, a modicum of relief from the torment we were entangled in. I never considered the weight of the truth she might carry. And just when I was about to voice my fear, the ground beneath me shuddered violently. A rift cracked through the air, sending waves of energy curving past us. The shadows writhed, their malevolence pulsating, as if they were responding to our hesitation. "Are you ready?" Lila asked, almost pleading now. "Because if we don't act, everything will be consumed. You need to decide if you trust me." As my heart raced, uncertainty gnawed at my gut. I sought Claire's eyes. Her fierce determination was a beacon amongst the chaos, but I found only uncertainty reflected back. I bit my lip, weighing the enormity of it all. "I don't know if we can trust anyone," Nathan murmured, visibly shaken. "Especially after all that has happened." "Then we will have to figure it out together," I replied, forcing myself to breathe as nails of anxiety dug into my skin. "Whatever happens next, we need to be honest with each other." Just as that fragile bond of understanding settled between us, Lilith's expression shifted, an urgent warning flickering across her face. "Look out!" Before I could react, a wave of shadows surged towards us, seeking to engulf us whole, a cacophony of rage that no words could capture. The world flashed to darkness, and then sudden light exploded in my vision. When my sight returned, I was alone. The others were gone. In the deep silence that followed, a single question clawed at the edges of my mind. Had they chosen trust in Lila, or had they succumbed to the shadow's deceit? The air hummed around me, alive with more than just uncertainty. And as I stood there, stranded in a world ripped apart, I felt the darkness inch closer, whispering promises laced with betrayal, tugging insistently at the fragile threads of hope I clung to. I couldn't escape the shadows forever, but the choice remained, a choice that might just sever everything we held dear before it ever had the chance to begin. The silence was suffocating, each heartbeat echoing like a drum in the void. I took a hesitant step forward, my pulse thrumming painfully in my ears as I scanned the desolate landscape around me. Shadows trembled at the edges of my vision, their eerie presence palpable, pressing in like a pack of wolves circling a prey. "Claire? Nathan?" I called out, my own voice echoing back, mockingly devoid of response. What had just happened? Where were my friends? The weight of Lilith's earlier words crashed over me again. The shadows had a mind of their own. It felt like a cruel twist of fate to be left standing here starkly alone, with the spectral memory of Lila's bittersweet reunion gnawed at me. Just as I thought I might lose my footing in despair, I spotted movement. A figure emerged from the thick, raven shadows pooling like ink against the ground. It was Achilda's small girl, maybe 6 or 7, with wild curly hair that framed her face like an unkempt halo. Her eyes, wide and luminous, held an unexpected spark of warmth amidst the foreboding gloom. "Help me, please!" she cried, her voice laced with urgency, cutting through the despair that enveloped me. "Who are you?" I asked, squatting to meet her gaze. "Where are my friends? I can't find them. But you must help me before they come." She tugged at my sleeve with a surprisingly strong grip, her small fingers icy against my skin. "Who? The shadows?" I asked, glancing nervously around, half expecting something ghastly to rear its head from the darkness. "No. The ones who collect. Her voice dipped to a whisper, each word laced with dread. They were the shadows. You have to hurry. I gripped her shoulders, desperate to understand. What do you mean by collect? They take people, she replied, hugging her knees to her chest as if bracing against impending danger. They won't stop until they have everything. The girl's fear was infectious, seeping into my resolve. My mind spun as I considered the implications. Were they taking people me friends? The notion ignited a new kind of urgency within me. I needed to find Claire and Nathan, but how could I do that in a world where nothing was as it seemed? All right, it'll help you. Where do we go? I asked, forcing the tremor out of my voice. Follow me. The girl darted ahead, the shadows swirling momentarily as she passed, as if reluctant to follow her lightness. I took a deep breath and chased after her. The ground was uneven beneath my feet, ragged rocks jutting out like teeth ready to bite. As we ran, the silhouettes of tall trees began to emerge from the murky depths of the twilight. They loomed, their sprawling branches twisting like skeletal hands, reaching for something only they could grasp. Do you know this place? I yelled, trying to keep pace with her sprightly form. Yes. It's the forest of forgotten memories. If we find the heart of treasures, we can hide there, she replied over her shoulder, panting slightly. Heart of treasures. A flicker of recognition popped through my fear. Lila had mentioned something like the 10 essence of hope within the malignancy, a potential refuge. Do you know where it is? I pressed, and she nodded eagerly, her confidence warming my fraying resolve. Yes. We have to be quick. When the sun sets, the shadows will come alive, and we'll be trapped. I felt a crescendo of urgency as we wound deeper into the depths of the forest. Trees twisted and bent as if whispering secrets against the growing darkness. The child's small form was a beacon of hope, but the shadows hung ever closer, their whispers growing louder, taunting me with echoes of my greatest fears. Lila, Nathan, Claire, the shadows seemed to chant, morphing into visions of their faces, their voices mingling with the rustle of leaves. You'll never find them. You're alone, Jack. I shook my head vigorously, trying to dispel the illusions. No, I can't be alone, I muttered, my heart racing with self-doubt. The girl paused, sensing my internal struggle. You aren't alone. I'm with you. Just believe. The more you doubt, the stronger they get. Her innocent faith pierced the veil of my despair, igniting something within me, a flicker of determination amidst the encroaching darkness. You're right, I breathed, clenching my fists. I won't give in. We'll find the heart of treasures together. Just as we rounded a bend in the path, the ground heaved beneath us, an intense rumble pulsing through the forest like a growl. A mist rolled in, thickening until it enveloped everything. Coughing shards of dread clung to my throat, the shadows shrieking in delight. Run! I urged, pushing the girl ahead of me as dark tendrils snaked through the mist, grasping for us. Cornered, we sprinted through the haze, desperation fueling every step. Suddenly, out of the fog, a figure emerged, a silhouette I recognized all too well. Jack. Lila's voice echoed sweetly, but with a haunting edge. My heart stopped, confusion rising to choke me. Lila? How did you find us? She stepped closer, her eyes glinting with something I couldn't decipher. Was it concern or a hint of something darker lurking beneath the surface? I've come to offer you a choice. The shadows reeled back momentarily, and I caught a glimpse of Claire and Nathan, their forms hovering just beyond Lila. Panic surged through me. What have you done to them? I shouted. Nothing yet, Lila replied, a smile playing on her lips, but it didn't reach her eyes. But I can only protect them if you are willing to embrace your true potential or join them. The weight of her words hung heavy in the air, the chilling truth punctuating each heartbeat. My friends' lives lay in the balance, and the shadows were more than just a physical menace. They were reflections of my innermost doubts. Lila's gaze bore into me, a mix of temptation and revelation. "We can rule this together," she said softly, almost beckoning. A deep sense of dread coiled in my gut. What was this choice she presented? Was it one I could afford to take? And yet, behind her, Claire and Nathan were barely standing, their faces touched by fear and a profound uncertainty. Before I could comprehend the implications, shadows surged forward, threatening to engulf us all. I needed to act, but would my next move turn the tide or shatter everything I once held dear? The choice loomed, and I felt its weight settle around me like a crown of thorns as I stood on the precipice of an unimaginable betrayal. The air was thick with unspoken fears and the scent of decay, as I stood caught in a web of choices too heavy to bear. Lila's words danced mockingly around me, each syllable tightening the grip of despair in my chest. Was this what the shadows had been whispering about? A crueler choice than I ever imagined? "Lila, please." "Let them go," I pleaded, my voice wavering as I took a tentative step forward. "This isn't the way. You can't control everything." She chuckled softly, the sound mingling eerily with the encroaching shadows. "Control? Oh, Jack, this isn't about control. This is about embracing the power that lies within you. You have more strength than you realize, but you'll need to turn to the darkness to find it." Behind her, Claire's eyes flickered with confusion and desperation. The shadows pressed against Nathan's shoulders, their tendrils weaving around him like binding chains. This was a choice I never wished to make, a weighted decision hovering precariously over the precarious balance of our lives. "Jack, don't listen to her." Claire's voice broke through the fog, desperate and compelling. "We can find another way. You don't have to." But before she could finish, Lila raised her hand, and the shadows coiled tighter around Claire and Nathan, cutting off their cries. A surge of rage ignited within me, roaring like a flame trying to break free from the suffocating darkness. "Let them go," I shouted, my heart hammering against my ribs. "You're using them to manipulate me. You can't have me choose this." Lila's eyes darkened, and she regarded me with a mix of amusement and frustration, like a master puppeteer thwarted by her own marionette. "Isn't that the point, Jack? You're here because you've always felt like you needed to make these choices for everyone else but yourself. It's time you chose for you." Her words echoed through the branches, weaving a vision of my past failures. Times I held back, unwilling to embrace my own desires in favor of others. The shadows undulated, slipping back a moment, as if they too were holding their breath, and in that space, I caught a glimpse of Nathan, his determined streak shining even in fear, his unwavering belief that we could push through this together. Would I really forsake that? "Lila," I breathed, lowering my voice to a trembling whisper. "I will never betray them." As if responding to my resolve, the ground trembled beneath us, and the shadows surged forward, threatening to engulf the three of us, hungry for my indecision. The air crackled with expectancy, a tension so sharp that it felt palpable, a desperate gasp shared between us. I could feel the warmth of the girl's hand still gripping my sleeve, grounding me in this impossible moment. "You can't give in," she pleaded, her small frame trembling as if reflecting the weight of the situation. "There's a light somewhere. We just have to find it together." Her voice cut through the chaos, a reminder of hope woven into despair, igniting the flicker of determination that flickered tenaciously within me. With a newfound fire, I straightened, mustering every ounce of resolve. "Am not afraid of the shadows or the darkness you wield, Lila. You may think him lost, but you haven't seen what fighting for my friends means to me. I'll choose them every time." With a fervent shout, I stepped towards Claire and Nathan, ready to confront whatever darkness sought to claim me. But just as I reached out to grasp their hands, Lilith's laughter echoed through the trees, a sharp pang of steel on steel. "You leave me no choice but to show you both sides of the heart," she declared, a cruel delight lighting her features. Suddenly, the shadows coalesced around her, forming a grotesque specter that loomed larger than Lithia, roiling mass of despair and desire, promising power with one hand while suffocating with the other. "Jack!" Claire's voice broke through my resolve. "Don't!" But it was too late. The shadows surged forth, and the world lurched around us, ripping through the fabric of reality like a gaping wound. As the darkness engulfed me, I felt a blast of icy wind, and then total darkness, my senses overwhelmed by chaos. Stray memories blinked like lightning in my mind, frozen moments with every laugh shared, every tear shed, the warmth of friendship and the biting chill of solitude. Just when I thought I would drown in the abyss, whispered echoes began to surface, faint pieces of my childhood, running through sunlit meadows, laughter bubbling on the breeze. A flicker of those memories wrapped around my heart, a faint thread stitching light into the shadows that wrapped themselves around me. But was it enough to resist Lilith's dark grip? "Jack, you will never escape," she promised, her voice relentless and cruel. "The shadows are bound to your heart. And when this is over, you will choose whether or not to truly embrace them." The torrent of shadows flared up, leaving me breathless with their power, while Claire and Nathan's faces dimmed, mere ghostly echoes lost in the dark. Just before everything seemed to implode around me, a voice rang out from the void, a stranger's whisper cutting through the despair. "Remember who you truly are." With that, a piercing light erupted in the distance, illuminating the edges of the darkness and stoking a fire within that coursed through my veins. But would I find the strength to reach for that light before the shadows consumed everything I cherished? The path lay ahead, shrouded in uncertainty, and the choice still hung heavy in the air until at last it shattered, leaving nothing but the echo of the impossible whispered decision that would define my fate. The shadows relinquished their grip, and I found myself standing in a vast expanse of luminescent light, a paradox of warmth that enveloped me despite my chaotic heart. The echoes of laughter and lingering sorrows faded into the distance, eclipsed by a profound sense of clarity I desperately needed. "Jack," a voice called, resonating through the light. I turned, my heart quickening at the sight before me. Claire and Nathan stood there, their faces illuminated by an ethereal glow, unmarred by the darkness that had tried to claim them. I rushed towards them, feeling the weight of the world lift as their familiar presence bathed me in a warm embrace. "I thought I'd lost you," I murmured, my voice trembling with emotion. "We're here," Claire replied, her eyes sparkling with hope. "Together." As Nathan stepped forward, he clasped my shoulder, and the sincerity in his gaze ignited an ember of pride within me, hidden beneath layers of doubt. "You're stronger than you know, Jack. Trust yourself." His words resonated like an anthem in my heart, igniting the fire of determination to confront whatever lay ahead. But the echoes of Lilith's words crept back into my mind, wrapping around me like chains. "What she said about embracing the darkness, do you think she's right?" I asked hesitantly, thoughts swirling like fog in my head. They exchanged a glance, and I felt a flicker of solidarity bouncing between us, a vow unspoken that ignited the spirit of our shared past. "And oh, Jack," Claire affirmed, shaking her head, the fierce light in her gaze illuminating the path we needed to choose. "We choose how we face our fears. We won't let her dictate who we are, not now, not ever." I swallowed hard, absorbing the weight of her conviction. "But the shadows, they want to test me. They feed on my doubts," I confessed, the vulnerability of my fear laid bare in the expanse between us. "Everyone has doubts," Nathan replied firmly. "But it's what we do with those doubts that defines us. We've fought too hard to be consumed by the abyss." Their words coalesced, lifting the fog from my heart, and I took a deep breath, steeling myself against the darkness that threatened to siphon my resolve. "So what do we do?" I asked, the fragility of our connection grounding me in the face of daunting uncertainty. "We confront them together, head-on," Claire stated, her voice unwavering. "Strength lies in our choices, and in the bonds we cherish. The light must prevail." With a warm rush of solidarity enveloping us, I nodded, understanding the weight of our combined purpose. The shadows could no longer control my fate. Then let's reclaim that light. With determination, we turned to face the luminous portal before us, an embodiment of everything we sought to protect. As we stepped through, the darkness twisted behind us, but tethered by trust and the shared strength of our unbreakable bond, we forged ahead, ready to confront whatever awaited us. The moment we emerged on the other side was breathtaking. The luminous chamber was filled with swirling orbs, pulsing with light and energy that drew me in, whispering promises of understanding and resilience. Every flicker shimmered with hope, urging us to claim our destiny. But just as we began to tread forward, a darkness loomed in the distance. From within it, Lila reemerged, her face a mask of uncertainty and rage. "You escaped? But you cannot claim the light!" she screamed, shadows swelling behind her like a storm threatening to break free. "We're not afraid anymore, Lila," I declared, my voice steady. "We won't let you use our fears against us." The shadows roared, a churning mass that twisted and turned, desperately trying to claw back the light. But we pressed on, fingers intertwined, our hands joined tight with unwavering trust. "Together!" Claire shouted, our voices echoing as we moved closer to the radiant orb pulsating with the essence of our dreams, our memories, and every victory we had ever fought for. Lila's face twisted with fury, and for a brief moment, the shadows behind her flickered, revealing fragments of desperation buried deep within her heart. "You'll regret this. You might triumph today, but the shadows will always be waiting," she sneered, her voice faltering, revealing the fragility cloaked beneath her malice. I held the gaze of the shadows, trembling but unyielding. "We may always have shadows, but we will choose to embrace the light. That is where our strength lies." Together, with a shared breath, we surged forward, and just as we reached the orb, the shadows unleashed a deafening roar, crashing like waves against the shore. But we rose against it, our united force illuminating the darkness, breaking through with a brilliant burst of light. In that moment, everything transformed. The shadows receded, retreating into the remnants of fear. The pain of loss, betrayal, and sorrow began to dissolve, leaving only ripples of what had once been a testimony to our journey, a testament to the battles won. As the echoes of the darkness faded, a profound stillness enveloped us, and the overwhelming weight of loss began to lift. I turned to Claire and Nathan, tears of relief shining in their eyes, our hearts intertwined. "We did it," Claire breathed, her voice soft yet filled with triumph. "We reclaimed our light." "Yes," Nathan echoed, "and we will continue to do so, as long as we choose to fight for one another." Standing together in that once darkened space, I realized the truth. We might always grapple with shadows, but it was the bond between us that ignited a fire stronger than any darkness could suppress. No matter what lay ahead, I had my sister and my friend at my side, and it was enough. As the remnants of shadows dispersed, leaving behind a fading ache, I found myself filled with a newfound resolve. The darkness may come back, but we had witnessed the power of our unity. I turned to face the horizon, where the light stretched towards infinity, carrying whispers of hope. And as I took their hands once more, I felt the warmth of connection, the unwavering power of love, and the infinite potential of a future illuminated by the choices we made together. "Together, always," I whispered, and my heart soared at the weight of that promise, even as the shadows ebbed behind us. And in that moment, a truth crystallized within my heart. The light is born from our darkest times, forged in the fire of our fears, reminding me that in the labyrinth of life, we emerge not just as survivors, but as warriors who choose love over shadows again and again. The journey had become a beautiful testament of resiliency, a reminder that being lost is only part of the journey toward rediscovery. As we stepped into the horizon painted with eternally radiant hues, I understood that what truly mattered wasn't the darkness we faced, but the light we chose to carry within us now and forever.